Hello everyone and welcome back to Speaking Spurs on transfer deadline day with me, Kieran, talking all things Tottenham. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment. Comments are most important in this one. I want to hear your thoughts on people we're linked with, people we're bringing in, people going out the door. So that's what we're talking at the moment, talking about the transfers. I've got my computers open in front of me because things can change at any second, and in fact something has just popped up in the last 15 minutes, somebody that we hadn't even heard about being linked with during this window. But first of all, we will talk about the deals that have been done for us. There's lots of interesting stuff happening elsewhere in the Premier League. Sabitzer from Bayern Munich could be on his way to several clubs. Man United most heavily linked with him at the moment. But let's talk about our own. Let's start with Pedro Porro, the guy that has been taken up the whole of our transfer window. You know, we've been trying to do a deal with this one since the beginning. Right wing back position that we know that we need. Jed Spence, not preferred by Conte, wasn't his signing. Matt Doherty hasn't hit the heights that we know that he can do after the injury that he sustained. He just hasn't been the same since he's been back. Emerson Royale, we know he's a right back and not a right wing back, but defensively puts displays in against, you know, some of the bigger teams, which does help us at times. But Porro, finally to Spurs. Medical is being done as we speak. So an initial loan of 4.4 million. So, you know, we thought this one was going to be a transfer that we just brought in. He had the release clause. Daniel Levy didn't want to meet it because obviously he doesn't want to pay all that money up front. Financial fair play comes into things. That frees up money for other transfers. So I get it from that point. But frustrating as a Tottenham fan because we could have just got him in the door at the beginning of the window, saved all this time, and potentially could have had some better results because of that. But no, he's coming in on an initial loan, 4.4 million, with an obligation to buy, which is near the 40 million mark. And then to sweeten the deal, we still had to give up 15% of the rights to Marcus Edwards' sell-on fee, which were 50%. So that's now reduced to 35% we'll get from a sell-on fee. All was agreed previously for an outright sale that we thought was going to be done over instalments, only for Sporting to then pull a Daniel Levy on Daniel Levy himself and ask for more money. They wanted 2-point-something million with admin fees and wanted to do a couple of bits of restructuring. That has caused us to then change this and knock the money off of the Marcus Edwards potential sell-on fee. It got to the point where the flight was booked for Porro to come to London with Turkish Airlines. He then obviously was told by Sporting the deal wasn't going to happen because they weren't happy with the structure. So he then took matters into his own hands, which you have to sometimes. He decided not to come to training. It was purely because he was promised by the hierarchy at the club that after the cup game, which they lost against Porto in the end, he would be allowed to leave. The agreement was in place. So he did what he had to do. But essentially, Sporting have won. They've got more out of us. They're going to make more money from a sale of Marcus Edwards than what they would have. They've got pretty much the full fee that they wanted for him paid over time, and they've got the 4.4 million fee. Now, the reason this works out for us, and it is good for Daniel Levy in a sense, because he's still got the man that he wanted. He doesn't have to pay any more than 4.4 million until the summer. And that's on a structured payment scheme anyway, so look, it's fine. But he flew to London overnight. He is in London. He is having his medical. I expect that one to be announced a bit later in the day. But then, in response to that, Matt Doherty is the shock right wing back to be moved out. I think a lot of us knew Jed Spence would end up going out on loan. I think a lot of people were hoping that Emerson Royale would go out. But as I've said, he is a right back. He's the most defensively solid of all of the people that we have that can play right wing back or right back. So actually it might make sense for Matt Doherty to go out because Pedro Porro will be our number one. But if we need defensive rigidness or to change the system and go into a back four in any games, you know you've then got Emerson Royale to come in and do that job and not worry about the attacking. So Doherty is going to be moved out to Atletico Madrid. They will take him on loan until the end of the season with no option to buy or obligation at all, just a straight up loan, and he'll be back at the end of the season. Simeone has taken a Spurs player before. He took Trippier from us, and that helped elevate his game, take him onto new heights. Can he do the same for Doherty? The difference this time, Trippier was a permanent transfer. Doherty would be coming back to us, so we could have an improved player coming back our way. But at 31 years old, I think after the loan we'd be looking to move him on. Jed Spence also being allowed to leave. Many Premier League clubs wanted him, but they wanted him on a loan to buy. Spurs had no intention whatsoever of letting him go permanently, because Conte, if he moves out the door, the next manager coming in will probably use him in some shape or form. There's also the fact that, this season he's getting game time under his belt at a higher, not game time, sorry, he's been training with Spurs tactically to understand what Conte would want. So even though he hasn't been playing, he's been training hard, he's been doing well, not quite at the levels they want him at, but now sending him out for first team football in a Premier Division kind of scenario. Obviously Liga is nowhere near what the Premier League is, but he should be getting good game time there and will be coming up against a higher level of player than what he would be if he was to drop down to the Championship again. So that one again will be a loan, no options whatsoever on top of that. And he has chosen Rennes, so he will link up with fellow Spurs loanee Joe Rodon for the remainder of the season. Now, a done deal that has been announced by the club. It's nothing particularly exciting for this season, but Jude Soonsup-Bell joins from Chelsea on a deal up until June 2025. So he joined Chelsea at their under-13 level, progressed through the ranks. He made his senior debut in the Carabao Cup against Brentford in 2021, after signing his first pro contract earlier in the year. He's played with Alfie Devine, Niall John and Dane Scarlett of Tottenham for the England under-19s, and he's Chelsea's record scorer in the FA Youth Cup. He banged in 4 goals in a game there. Good one for the future. It's good for him. He's clearly not progressing at Chelsea the way he wants to. Manchester City were also in for him, but I think he probably feels like he's got more chance of breaking into the Spurs fold than any of those other teams. So welcome to the club. Another loan and outing. Sevilla you'd seen this on the Spurs website as well, fully announced. Sevilla have taken Brian Hill on loan till the end of the season. Another one with no option, no obligation to buy. He's somebody that we want back. He was allowed to go because of the signing of Danjuma. That will restrict his game time, but also the return of Lucas Moura. Obviously played against the Arsenal under-21s and scored a goal in that game. Although Moura could yet be a late mover today. Crystal Palace obviously have had an injury to Wilfred Zaha, which means for them it's great in a sense because he's no longer going to be moving on in this window because he was linked with several clubs. So there's a bit more time to reflect and see what they want to do in terms of whether he'll sign a new contract or leave. Lucas Moura was hoping on running down his contract and leaving for free in the summer. This would have given him the rest of the season to get back to full fitness and really think about where he wants to go. But there are teams that have obviously seen that he's back to some sort of fitness. He has played in a game, he has scored. Everton are another club that could possibly come in for him in their desperate position, but Palace, in terms of needing a player in that position, Lucas Moura could be somebody that they keep their eye on, although he said he didn't want to go anywhere. But we shall see. Keep an eye on that one. There was a statement that come out from somebody that's got sources at Tottenham Hotspur saying after the Porro deal, it's unlikely that any more signings will come in the door. Zaniolo, who we've been heavily linked with throughout the window, he's someone that I think Tottenham will continue to inquire about throughout the day to just to see if they can get a deal. Because if we're not looking at bringing anyone else in, the team have got time to continue to negotiate. So if we can get him in on a loan with an option to buy, obligation to buy, it's obviously going to work with Porro. We've seen it with Romero, we've seen it with Kulusevski. So, these are options we could take up on Zaniolo. I understand Roma did want a full fee for him, but at this stage of the window, they're not going to get money in to replace him now anyway. So a loan move would kind of make sense. So they get some money in the door and they get him off the wage bill for the rest of the season. So expect there to be further links with him throughout the day. Sarr and Skip have both been told they will not be moving in this window. Sarr's picked up a hip injury anyway, which would potentially scupper any move he was looking at. But however, with Tottenham, you can never rule out a last-minute addition in a January transfer window or a bargain buy that Daniel Levy sees with somebody that we might not even been looking at. One of the players I can pretty much rule out us looking at now is Soufiane Amrabat. It looks like Barcelona are going to be trying to make a move for him on a loan to the end of the season. But I'm just going to try and find... here we go. The story that broke whilst I started this video. So Spurs lead the race for Dario Osorio. I don't know anything about him, don't know him as a player. So according to Sport Witness in Italy, they claim Spurs have made the most important and best offer to sign the Universidad de Chile sensation before tonight's 11 p.m. deadline. It's thought that there is at least 3 deals on the table, including one from AC Milan, and it's thought that the next few hours are decisive to his immediate future. And then goes on to talk about Porro. Osorio could be another interesting acquisition late in this window. The 19-year-old capped at senior level for Chile is a hugely promising talent and one that could see sporting director Fabio Paratici follow his past dealings, having brought in exciting prospects like Papa Matsar and Destiny Udogi. Standing at 6 foot, the versatile midfielder is primarily a dangerous winger, one that has earned eye-catching comparisons to that of FC Barcelona star Rafinha. And if you remember back to the time where we got Richarlison, there was the hunt for teams to want one of 3 Brazilians, Gabriel Jesus, Richarlison and Rafinha, all of which moved on, one to Barcelona, one to us, and one to Arsenal. He was once mooted with a switch to N17 before that move, but they haven't written that very well. Basically, I mean, we've been linked with him before. What they've gone on to say is, I find him very similar to Rafinha. This is former Universidad de Chile ace Raul Toro. He said he is the jewel of Chilean soccer. At any moment he can score a goal or provide an assist. In Chilean football there is no one like him. He's already notched 7 goals across 27 matches in the Chilean top flight and has done so by playing anywhere across the front line. He also managed 1.1 key passes per outing and created a total of 4 big chances, despite an average of 58 minutes per game. Osorio shoots spectacularly and plays as if he were at home. Okay, that's what their sporting director Manuel Mayo once suggested. He's also been compared to Angel Di Maria in the past, so he has strongest attributes are believed to be pace, dribbling and creativity, not to ignore his obvious versatility too. And you know what Spurs are like, we love a versatile midfielder. All in all, it's clear to see that Spurs will be getting one hell of a talent with a last-ditch deadline move for Osorio. In the 19-year-old prodigy, the North Londoners could well have their own Rafinha or Di Maria. Given the evidence above, he surely has every chance of following in Sarr's footsteps in making the big step up to the first team. So there you go. At the moment, they are the stories that have broke, things that are being spoken about. But it seems like at the moment that's all. Just check Sky Sports once more before I let you go. Nope. It looks like for now that is it, but I will be back this evening. So I finish work at 5:15. I've got my own football match between 6 and 7. I will get home, have some dinner, and I will jump on for the last hour of the transfer window, just like I did last year. I'll probably do it as a live stream again, so keep an eye out for that one. So about 10 o'clock tonight, I should be on doing a live stream, and then I'll do a sum up video either later in the evening, so it'll be available early hours of the morning, or tomorrow to round up on what hopefully will be a successful transfer window for us after all the boring first 25 days. So thanks for sticking around. Leave your comments below about the players that I've spoken about. Are there any last minute signings you would like to see come through the door? I'm sure a lot of you are going to be screaming for Zaniolo or James Maddison. But yeah, let me know in the comments below. Thanks for sticking around. I have been Kieran from Speaking Spurs. Like, subscribe and comment. Until this evening, come on you Spurs.